Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam स्थापितं Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahegana Ragnathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Jayagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitan He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Namaste Bhakti Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarvascha Kripa Sindhabhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna everyone. So we're continuing the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, knowledge of the absolute truth, and hopefully we'll finish this chapter today. So we are in this section 15 to 19, where we have discussed already about 4 kinds of pious people who surrender to Krishna and 4 types of people who do not surrender to Krishna. And then we are studying right now a series of verses where Krishna is sort of explaining, I love out of those 4 Gyanis the most, and Gyani is eventually surrender unto me. So from Bhajante to Prapadyante, that's the series we read last time. And then we are continuing the next one. So let's do a quick revision. 7:18, I think where we started last week. We can start from Akhand Rasa Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
7:18.
Yes, Prabhu.
Translation. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect good. Now here, basically, Krishna is acknowledging that the various categories described in previous verses, the most dear to him is the Jnani, who is endeavoring to progress in the continuous knowledge about Krishna. So he is the most dearmost to him. So it doesn't mean that anybody else is unfavorable, but he's just saying that these people are the most dear to me. And Udara means magnanimous. And if you are hungry and you want chapatis, but if he gives you only 2 chapatis, you'll still be happy. So it's like a love exchange with devotees. His intimate relationship is the most cherished by Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone wants to add something to it?
Yeah, I can explain about the magnanimous part.
Yes.
You mentioned about how Ramanujacharya has very beautifully explained about this word udara. He says magnanimous. So magnanimous, Krishna is very happy that at least the jivas, even though they have some motivation, underlying motivation to come to him, but at least these jivas have turned to me. And as Prabhu said, the one who is in knowledge, and it's not the impersonalist knowledge, but it's the Nitya Yukta Ekabhakti type of devotees who have approached him. So those who are always engaged in devotional service, these category of people, Krishna says they are very dear to me. And Ramanujacharya explains about this word Udara. He says that even though Krishna is Purna Bhagwan, he is still desperately looking for love. So even though he has everything, but he still wants the love from his own children. So he's very happy about this, that at least the jivas have not turned to the like alcohol or drugs or money. They have come to me. So it's like a father who is pleased that at least my child has come to me, has not gone to other people if the child wants something. So this is what the word Udara was explained last time.
Yeah.
And
yes, that's very nice, Mataji. And the second line, which is also very significant, Gyani tva atmaiva me matam. They are like me. That's a very significant statement by Krishna. He loves them so much. Like, one of the father may have 10 sons, but the sixth one is like me. So much love Krishna is presenting for those souls, and Prabhupada writes. It's very nice, relevant example here from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sadhu Hridayam Mayam, Sadhunam Hridayam to Aham. So I don't know anyone except the sadhus, and sadhus don't know anything except me. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Let's move to 719. Rupam Prabhu, you want to do that?
Yes, bro. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, start with translation. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So, as it says, Prabhu, Bahuna Janma Nam Ante. So, Bahuna, after many births and deaths, at the end, all the Gyanis understand that Krishna is the supreme, and they surrender to Krishna. Then Gyanvan Mam Prapadyante. So here the word Prapadyante is something which we discussed quite a number of times, and it has been used in the past as well. So the Gyanis, after Bahu Janma, they come to the conclusion that to surrender to the Krishna is the way, is the final destination, and to come out of the bondage and come out of the material world. This word is also used in 714 to discuss Krishna's love, or Krishna loves the most who are in the Gyani platform out of the four. Then next line says Vasudev's Sarvam Iti. So again, linking it with previous lines, after many births and after studying and understanding everything, finally they understand that Vasudev is everything. But the other point you mentioned is we should not understand it in a way that Vasudev is just limited to everything. So the example we discussed is the soil and the ability of soil to produce different plants and different taste or smell. Same with water, the potency of water or the taste of water. So Krishna is not just limited to one aspect, or it is one of the aspects of Krishna's unlimited potencies or unlimited strength. And that's how we should understand this. Then finally he says, Prabhuji, Sa Mahata Sudurlabha. So those who surrenders to me, those who loves me, he is he's a Mahan, he's a Mahanatma, he's Mahata. So in the previous verse, Krishna starts with Udara. Actually, the previous verse, he starts with all four categories. Then he recognizes those four categories as Udaras. But out of those four categories or Udaras, he's then saying the one who are in the Gyani platform are actually Mahanatmas, are the Mahan. And then he says finally, Sudurlabha. So this category of men is very durlabha, is very hard to find. They are very rare. So as in the previous verse, Mataji was saying, Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti Vishishyate that's the level of Gyani. So it's not Gyani from materialistic or from any other aspect. It's from Krishna consciousness aspect. Is the one who is Nitya Yukta and always in the platform of Bhakti. That's how Gyani is defined. And the one who are in that platform are categorized as pure devotees. That's pretty much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Just one important point, as Rupa Prabhu was explaining, Vasudeva Sarvati, everything is the manifestation of the Vasudeva's energy, but everything is not Vasudeva. Because many people say, okay, God is everywhere. So if I worship, I have a small bottle here. I'm not sure you can see. So I can worship this small bottle as well. So that's not the understanding which this line is representing. Chaitanya Prabhu makes a statement. This is called pantheism. Pantheism means everything is God. So you can worship a stone. I can worship the tire of a car. They're both same thing. No, they are not both same. Although they are coming from Vasudeva, but they are not Vasudeva, as Rupa Prabhu was saying. Then Vasudeva is just not limited to the car tire only, although it is the energy of Vasudeva himself. So that understanding is very, very important. So they are all objects of our respect. Sometimes we can worship them as well because related to Krishna's pastime. They are not the ultimate object of worship and our ultimate object of our love. That is very, very different. A mother may love his children's clothing and shoes and toys. This is my boy's toy. This is my boy's t-shirt and a pant and socks. Mothers carry the little socks as a memory. But whom they ultimately love, the child, not the socks only. Socks creates the memory of the child, that's fine, but not the ultimate object of love and worship and service. This line is very important because many times other writers, other authors of Bhagavad Gita explains this line very differently. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Okay, thank you.
So one more thing I forgot to add is that we discussed last time was the 1.2.28.
Yes.
Line, Shlok Vasudeva Paragati.
Yes, very important.
In line with the definition of Vasudeva.
Yes. We discussed that. So that's also a good reference in Srimad Bhagavatam given that what does it mean by Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Thank you, Prabhu. Sundar, Gopal, Prabhu, or Satyabha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you also mentioned about that Krishna, we should not be focusing on the object. Like you gave an example of Narsimhadev when he was coming out from the pillar. So we should not focus on the object of worship, that it is, because pillar is worshipable because Krishna is coming out of that. So how does it relate to in this context of this verse, Prabhuji? Can you elaborate? Like the object of worship and the ultimate goal of our worship. Is Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. I think we discussed two examples last week. The Ukhal example in Damodar Leela and this pillar example in Narsimhadev Leela. So Ukhal was sort of helping to bind Krishna. That is also worshipable because it is assisting in Krishna's Leela. So anyone, anything assisting Krishna's Leela, they're also very respectable, like Yamlarjun trees, for example. They're also assisting the Leela. Ukhal was assisting, even the Dam, the rope was assisting, and they are worshipable. We read them. And even we worship the Nabi of Krishna. But they are not the Nabi, we cannot say, okay, rope and Ukhal and all these objects which assist in the Leela, they're also worshipable because they assist in the Leela. But they are not the ultimate object. Every day and night, you cannot just worship that rope and think, I'll serve the rope and not serve the Lord. So rope is related to the Lord. We serve the rope, definitely. In that sense, we worship, we remember, but ultimate service is given to the Lord. So that's why I was giving the example of a mother's child and his paraphernalia. So children's paraphernalia is important to the mother. She has some emotions with that paraphernalia, but they are not the ultimate object of the service. When the child comes hungry and the child says, Mama, I'm hungry, you'll prepare some prasadam and feed it to the child, not to the child toy, not to the child's socks or other paraphernalia of the child. So similarly, anything which assists in Krishna Lila is important, definitely important. That place is important. But on top of that, what is most important is Krishna and his devotees. Is that okay? Okay, let's move forward to 720. We have Shraddha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. So yeah, just wanted to add one more thing to 7.19. So you also said that you have given example of Srila Prabhupada that when he was, giving the lecture, and then one of the disciple or the person who was sitting, he said, like, so you are the 13th Mahajan.
Yes.
And then Srila Prabhupada said, then you can be the 14th.
Yes.
Because the opportunity is equal for everyone. It's like sun coming to your house. It's up to you. You want to close the windows or curtains. I just, saw my notes. So I just wanted
Thank you,
to-
Mataji. I didn't remember all these examples. You guys remember, so very nice of you. You're listening.
I
That's
wrote
good.
it, Prabhu. That's why.
Yeah. No,
Otherwise, I
good.
wouldn't have.
Good. Thank you, Mataji.
One more thing I just recalled, Ruby. This is also a verse which is sort of signifies the journey from Gyanis to Bhaktas.
Yes.
So from Gyani platform to Bhakta platform.
Yes. Once they surrender, they become Bhakta. Yes. So start with the Gyan platform. And I think we also discussed the example of Shukdev Goswami some time ago, maybe not in this verse. Like Shukdev Goswami was also initially on a Gyani platform, 4 Kumaras on Gyani platform. Later they surrendered to Lord, became one of the greatest Bhaktas. And I think that's how this Mahajan example came from. Yeah, thank you. Now it relates very well. Okay, let's move to 720.
Yeah, so 720 says in the translation, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So basically they are prapadyante anya devata. So they are not surrendering to Krishna. Rather than surrendering to Krishna, they are surrendering to other demigods because they have some desires to fulfill. And the other thing, they are not on the like their knowledge is also not complete. Like they don't have that knowledge that they should straight away go to the principal instead of going to the teachers. So that's what they are trying to do. But Krishna is not, as you said in the class, Krishna is not that kind of shrewd boss who just always wants to listen praises about him. He doesn't mind if you're praising other chief manager or manager rather than praising the owner or the CEO of the company, and which is Krishna obviously. But he says, oh, whatever you are doing, I will still, he's saying yeah, so with the rules and regulations, they want to offer their prayers to other demigods because they have desires to fulfill, and Krishna is allowing them in order to get them that kind of feeling of devotion. And that devotion is not going to hurdle their way coming back to Krishna. It will just help them to progress into their spiritual journey. And Prakritya, so they've asked this Prakritya Niyata Swaya. So according to their own nature, so some of them, you said some people like to follow Rajasic Shastra and Tamasic Shastra, and obviously the Sattvic Shastra will be about Lord Vishnu, Rajasic will be about Brahma, Lord Brahma, and Tamasic will be about Lord Shiva. But in those Shastra, like they will say Lord Shiva is the supreme, and then they kind of then they will be bewildered, then thinking that Shiva is the supreme, then they can go to Shiva Loka as well. That kind of delusion or diversion for them. So. But still, Krishna is allowing them to get that faith in the different demigods, so that they can at least start understanding like there is some faith exists, and they can have some kind of devotion towards other rather than their own personality. And yeah, that's I think I'm missing. I forget something in between, but yeah, that's what basic line. That's what I remember.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely explained. I'll just pick up, although you have explained it, just pick up the Sanskrit words for our understanding. So kamai obviously refers to desire here. This kama is not referring to lust or anything, although it may go towards that eventually, because everything is kama in that sense. So taita hirta jnana, hirta refers to haran, kidnapping. So hirta jnana, so their jnana is hirt, his kidnapped, is being stolen, you can say. Anyone remembers a similar word used in one of those previous verses? Anyone remember that verse? And the word?
The word is prapadyante.
No, but my question was hrit jnana. Hrit jnana. Anyone remember a similar word? We just read it few verses before.
Is it 19?
15,
Jnana
it's
man
15.
mam prapadyante?
No?
Is it 15, Prabhu?
Yes.
Maya Apahanta Jnana?
Thank you, Mataji. Maya apaharat jnana. So apaharat jnana was there. Hrit jnana is there. Same word, huh? So knowledge is stolen. It doesn't mean that person is not. It looks very knowledgeable. He's going to a demigod, say Durga ji or Ganesh ji. From that perspective, he will be a very rich person, socially speaking. But Krishna is saying hrit jnana. Why? You have kama. Anyone can think of an example in Srimad Bhagavatam of this particular line? Kamaitai hrit jnana. Prapadyante anya devta. Many examples are there. Hiranyakashipu went to Lord Brahma because he had kama. What was his kamna? That I want to become immortal, for example. I want to beat everyone. I want to defeat everyone. Ravan went to Lord Shiva. Did he went to Lord Shiva for his personal service? No, he just wanted to exploit the energy of Lord Shiva. That's all. So Ravan, Hiranyakashipu, and so many other examples. All these demons, Bhasmasur, for example, he worshipped Lord Shiva. But eventually, what he wanted Mother Parvati. So he wanted to grab the boon from Lord Shiva to kill Lord Shiva and to enjoy Mother Parvati. Just amazing, this mindset, huh? So Krishna clearly calling these people hrit jnana. You don't have any knowledge, actually. Don't have any knowledge. Huh? Why? Because your mind is just predominated by desire for gaining something. And tam niyam asthaya. So niyamam asthaya, anyone remember an example for niyamam asthaya? Prakrutya niyata asthaya. So based on their niyam, they made their own niyam. They made based on their faith, and they worshipped other devata. Anyone remember any example? Bhasmasur?
Prabhu, Ravan.
Ravan, he was cutting his heads. Now, which Shastra says that? He was forcing Lord Shiva to come. Bhasmasur also, he was putting the flesh of his body. And finally, Lord Shiva said, Beta, what do you want? Why are you suffering so much? He was putting the pieces of his flesh in the Agni. So Lord Shiva he's very kind. He's a Vaishnava. He said, but why are you doing that? So they are called horrible tapasyas. We'll read about it in chapter 17 when we arrive. So is why I'm emphasizing that. But niyamam asthaya. So they also follow niyam. They're also doing penances. Hiranyakashipu was standing on top of his toe. And Brahmaji, when he came after 55,000 years of tapasya, somewhere it says 36,000. Anyway, Brahmaji said, no one has ever done the tapasya like you. He said that. So he was doing tapasya, but based on his own niyam, his own prakriti, and his own boon. I want to be immortal. Brahmaji said, mere paas hi nahi hai, how can I give you? Even I am not immortal. How can I make you immortal? Huh? So just to understand, so why Krishna is saying hrit jnana, they don't have actually any other jnana. On the other side, anyone remember a positive example whose heart was contaminated by kama, by some desire, but he went to Lord Vishnu. And
Dhruv Maharaj?
Dhruv Maharaj, thank you, Prabhuji. Huh? So Dhruv Maharaj also had kama, no doubt about it. Huh? But with the kama, he went to Lord Vishnu. Any other example with the kama, someone went to Lord Vishnu? Other than Dhruv Maharaj, obviously. He had kama, he had desire, he had some desire. Bhagavatam is our base. Kardam Muni went to Lord Vishnu. What do you want? I want to get married. So that I can fulfill the order of my of my father, Brahmaji. Huh? So that's fine. Brahmaji said, you go and get married and produce progeny. Kardamuni said, no problem. I will fulfill the desire of my father. But he went to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, can you please give me a suitable girl? Lord Vishnu said, no problem. After 2 days, girl will come to your ashrama. So there are so many examples. So having kama is not been condemned. And there's a verse which Prabhupada quotes, and he quotes quite often. Very nice word. Akama. You have no kamna, sarva kama. You have all the kamnas, like Dhruv Maharaj. Huh? Moksha kama. You want moksha, like Shukadev Goswami or Fork Maharaj earlier. Tivren Bhakti Yogin, Yejet Purusham Param. And there's only one Param Purush. We know that. Even Shastra. Param Purush is only one. There are many Purushas. Param Purush is only one. Huh? So very important verse. So if we even have some desire, we should go to Lord Vishnu. We should not look here and there, no matter what sort of desire, because Lord Vishnu is like a kind father, will purify your desire. Gajendra also initially he went with a desire. Now later on, obviously in his prayers, we see his that desire was also lost. But initially he went in pain. Arthu. Okay, 721. Whom we have here. Vinay Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
I read the translation. I am in everyone hearts, and as the super soul, as soon as one desire to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Here. Jojong Jang Jang Tun Bhakta. So in here, you say that those devotees want to just so whoever want to that bhakta want to worship the other demigods. So I'm allowed them to do that, because Srodhaya Architam Ichchati. After that, they have some Srodha, some respect. They can start their devotional service to them. So then and they when they when they worship, and then their desire will be with that, and slowly tasya achalang sraddham. And in here is achalam is steady. So their respect and faith will be and steady with that demigod. And even the demigod is taking the all boon from me, but still I'm allowed them to worship, and one day when they knows, and then they'll come back to me. So but in this way it's not allowed to them to worship. And that's a short note I have for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So Prabhuji has nicely explained. So Shraddhaya Architum Ichchati. So this line is very important. They also have Shraddha. They follow some sort of Mangalvar Vrat or Shukravar Vrat, some Vrata they do. So some austerity they are doing. They have some Shraddha in that Devi or Devata, and they do Ichcha, Tanum Bhakta. So they have Bhakti in Tanum is the form of the demigod, whichever demigod it may be. Tasya achalam shraddham. So achala shraddha. Who does that achala shraddha? Vidadhami aham. I give that achala shraddha. So that sort of refers to generosity of Krishna. He's so generous. He's so generous. He's not just worried about his own glorification. Rather, he's worried about his devotees' elevation. Somehow or other, he wants to elevate them in a level which will help them. Okay, let's move forward to the 722. Rasanand Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Translation. Endowed with such faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desire, but in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So this is in the section, a series where talking about the demigod worship. Those who don't surrender to Krishna, they are surrendering to Anya Devata, as verses previously was described. So in this sequence here, again, Krishna is telling that apart from the faith, which was mentioned in the verse 21, the results of whatever worship we are doing to the Devatas, that is also coming from me. So here is talking about Shraddha, the inspiration or the faith, what they are having. That faith, they are going to demigods to do some, for requesting some results, and that results is given by me. the aradhanam, for the worship, what they are doing to the demigods. So the labha is mentioned here, what they want, what the results they are looking for. So, yeah. So this is basically the continuation, Prabhu, as the previous verses were talking about the faith. Here also, the results also is actually coming from Krishna. It is bestowed from him through the demigods.
Yeah.
I had another, just wanted to add some more points to this. Just heard one of your lectures earlier. Actually, basically talking about purification. So if we go to Krishna, we get more purified. Whereas here, when we go to demigods, we at least go back, get the sort of the labha, the profit or benefits. We keep on increasing. The greediness comes. So one example is given in the purification process, like Sudama. Actually, he went to Krishna to. Actually, we know the story that Sudama went because his wife said, we are so poor state, so we should go. But he did not go and ask for anything there. He only gave what he wanted because he had actually a pride of renunciation, he said. But Krishna gave him so much more and more. In fact, Rukmani had to stop because he had given him. So he had the pride of renunciation. And another example is given is the Bali Maharaj, who had the pride of wealth. He had so much wealth and he tried to tell the Vamana Dev who came there, you are a small boy, what you will get out of 3 foot? So you ask more, you ask more. So he had the pride of wealth. So their purification. So if you go to Krishna, he purifies us and gives what we want.
Yeah.
That point I just thought I would make. Rather than if you go to demigods, we get greedy and we are actually in this world, in the samsara, as we in the birth death cycle, we are fallen there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Demigods, I heard example in some class, nice point, Prabhuji, that demigods are like a shopkeeper. So a small boy walks in with $10, for example, give me a cigarette. And shopkeeper,
chocolate
not,
example.
or whatever, And if you go to $10 and go to your father, give me a cigarette, what he will give you, we all know. No need to explain. So Krishna is like that father. Even if he slaps sometime, it's for our benefit. And the piece of cigarette or whatever alcohol from a shopkeeper, that's dangerous. That's a wish, that's a poison for us. So demigods are like shopkeepers, but Krishna is like that dear father. Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice point. Just one thing before we move. I know half of the devotees have switched off their camera. If I can request to please switch on their camera, it really helps the class interactivity. I know some people are driving and they have messaged me. That's fine. I'm not asking to risk anything, but it's very nice if you can switch on the cameras, make it more interactive. Thank you. 723, I can see Mohit Prabhu. Maybe I can request Mohit Prabhuji.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. So, Prabhu, this verse 723 is a continuation of the same topic where we're talking about the result of worshipping demigods. So we only get perishable result and no eternal benefit. So if we're talking about the verse, Antavantu phalam, those benefits are temporary. Tat bhavati alpa medhasam. So basically, alpa medhasam, they have a little intelligence, not so intelligent. Devan Deva Jajojanti, they achieve what they worship, the demigods, and Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. But Krishna said, my devotees come back to me. So basically in this verse, Prabhu, we talk about the worship of any demigod that cannot take us to the Supreme Lord. And we talk about the result of worshipping demigod versus devotional service to Krishna. So when we worship demigods, because they are in the same planet, the material world, they are perishable. So the result we are getting is perishable, they're not eternal. But we're talking about a devotional service and worshipping of Supreme Krishna, when the Supreme Lord is unlimited. So the worshipping of Supreme is unlimited and his mercy is unlimited. So we get the eternal result if we worship. And Krishna said, they come back to me, we go back to Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. And one word we can take from here is Alpa Medhasam. So Medhasa refers to Medha, intelligence. Alpa means thoda, very little. So they have very little intelligence. Why Krishna is calling them as Alpa Medhasam? Any other person can also give some extra input besides what Mohit Prabhuji said. Alpa Medhasam. They have less intelligence. They're worshipping demigods. They are less intelligent.
So is it because the temporary nature of the benedictions they are asking? One is the benedictions itself, which is temporary, and also the timeline through which it will be with them will be temporary. The example that we saw last time was, if you worship Indra, the maximum you can go is to Indralok.
Yeah.
And the maximum time you can stay in Indralok is till the point Indra is there.
That's it.
But your merit, your Sukriti is finished, and let's say Indra moves on, then you will fall down. Or either of these two scenarios, you will fall down.
Very, very nice. Same example you can
The
remember.
benefits will be ending, Prabhu.
Benefits will be ending because the person who's giving the benefit, he himself is going to end, and his power is very, very limited. Indra's power, Chandra's power, very limited. Without due respect, they in comparison to Krishna, their power is very, very limited, and for some time. Hiranyakashipu, for example, he worshipped Brahmaji for 36,000 years, or some says 55,000 years. How long Dhruv Maharaj worshipped Vishnu? 6 months. So even time-wise, this little boy, 5-year-old boy with no knowledge of Vedic hymns and verses and this and that, nothing. He just went to Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, just chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. He achieved Krishna, and he achieved the highest position, eternal position. Krishna gave his own abode, Shwetadeep. Huh? You come and live in Shwetadeep, no problem. So what I'm trying to say here, this is Alpa Medasa, because even if you think for that time being you're the king of the whole 3 lokas, as Hiranyakashipu thought, so he worshipped Lord Brahma for 36,000 years. Anyone knows how long did he rule? Only 5 years. So 36,000 years of tapasya, which no one had ever done, and the result you get, you only enjoy a chair, for example, 5 years. Not only 5 years, because he started having this dvesha from the 4 years when Prahlad was 4. So for 4 years of enjoyment, you have to worship 36,000 celestial years. That's not very intelligent, isn't it? You work so hard that you can become president of, say, material speaking, America or something. And then after getting you get a presidentship of a 2-bedroom apartment. And that also in somewhere regional New South Wales. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You have much more intelligence. Huh? So you're underselling yourself, basically. You're underselling yourself. Anytime you go to anyone else for any other desire other than the pure devotional service, you're underselling yourself. Huh? That desire may get fulfilled. It will last very little. And then again, go back to zero. Go back to zero. Like a Ferris wheel, they call it. They go up and then they go down. They go up, they go down. So what's the point? There's not much point. So it's called Alpa Medasa. Yes, Satyabhama Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, not a question, just a example, very beautiful example that you gave, that Krishna ultimately it's like he wants to give you a BMW or Mercedes, but you are after a Maruti 800. So he wants to give you a real ultimate happiness.
Yes.
But all the less intelligent people are asking is for the little temporary benefits or temporary enjoyment.
Yes,
But
thank
not
you.
the spiritual advancement.
Yes. Nice example. So Sundar Gopal Prabhu, you got the idea. What's the just indicating, that's all. Hare Krishna, 723. So thank you. 724. I think we have to start from here, right? We finished with that. Okay. Now, so far we have discussed the devotees who go to Krishna, which we read in 715 onwards. Then from 720 onwards, 4 verses we read for the people, I should not call devotees, go to other demigods, and they also worship, they do some austerity. Now there's a third category which Krishna is presenting here from 724 onwards. So the people who do not go to Krishna, who do not go to demigods, who goes to impersonal conception. So this 24 and 25 is very, very nice verses, which just give us a glimpse. And 9th chapter, Krishna will actually take this topic further in 9th chapter. So 724, we can give to Radvi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Avyaktam vyaktim apanam.
Avyaktam vyaktim apanam.
Manyante mam abuddhayaha.
Manyante mam abuddhayaha.
Param bhavam ajananto.
Param bhavam ajananto.
Mama vyayam anuttamam.
Mam avyam anuttamam.
Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme.
Thank you, Mataji. So, very simple Sanskrit words are there. Avyaktam, avyak. So in Hindi we call it vyakti. Vyakti means a person. So avyakta means unmanifest. So vyakta means manifest. Avyakta means unmanifest. So from unmanifest to vyaktim. So from unmanifest to manifest. So from unmanifest, what it refers to? Brahman. Manifest, what is referring to? Krishna's form or Lord Ram's form or whatever form Lord assumes in this material world for the Leela. So avyaktam, vyaktim, apannam. So achieve. So I have achieved a form. Krishna is saying that from avyakta to vyakta. So from impersonal, from Brahman, I have achieved a form. Manyante. Whoever considers that manyante mam, I have achieved that form from avyakta to vyakta, from imperson to person, they are abuddhayaha. So buddhiman refers to a person who is very wise. And the opposite of buddhiman is buddhu. Anyone knows this word, buddhu? People used to call us buddhu. People used to call me, I'm still a buddhu, but have no intelligence basically, huh? So buddhiman, buddhu. Now here Krishna is putting a nice word, abuddhaya. Abuddhaya. Abuddhaya means no buddhi. Now in the previous verse, you remember what the word Krishna used for this sort of reference? Alpa medasam. Alpa medasam means thodi buddhi hai. You have some intelligence. But if you go from this impersonal to person concept, basically from Brahman Krishna has come from, if you consider that, you are what? You're not even Alpa medasam, you are no medasam, you are abuddhaya. So it clearly indicates the mindset of Krishna. So what Krishna is saying, worshipping demigods actually is higher than worshipping the impersonal Brahman, isn't it? That's what Krishna is saying. So Krishna is saying, if you go to demigods, you are alpa buddhya, not much intelligence. But here, the marks are completely zero. Complete abuddhaya. Now, what does it refers to? Avyaktam, vyaktim, apannam. So avyakta. Now, avyakta can refer to, in normal Sanskrit interpretation, as Brahmavadis. So everyone knows what Brahmavadis are. So Brahmavadis are Brahmavad, Maya-vad. So Vad means philosophy of Brahman. So they consider the philosophy of Brahman. What does philosophy of Brahman is? Brahman is everything. Everything is Brahman, and whatever we see in this world around us, this is all Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. It's all illusion. It's all illusion. It doesn't exist at all. It has no value. And some people call it voidism, which we know as a Buddhist. Buddhists call this as a voidism as well. So all this terminology which comes from this Brahmavad concept has become a khichdi now, but we just try to distinguish these two terms first, which is Brahmavad and Mayavad. So Brahmavad means one should consider Brahman as the supreme. Now these people, I think we have discussed it earlier as well, they are not the offenders of the form of Krishna. They are just unaware of the form of Krishna. Unawareness is not offending. Unawareness, I don't know or I don't care, but I am the follower of Brahman. That's one part. But Mayavadis, how they differ, they also say Brahman is supreme, but they add something to it. They say Krishna's form is a form of Maya. Krishna's form, when Krishna manifests his form in the material world, Lord Ram comes here, Matsya Avatar come here, they are the form of Maya because they are contaminated with the modes of material nature. Now, if you know, Adi Shankaracharya introduced one term called Tattvatraya. Tattvatraya refers to Jagdish, Jiva, and Jagat. So they consider these three is the manifestation of Brahman. So Brahman is the topmost, and from Brahman, these three comes. What three comes? Jagdish, Jagat, and Jiva. How does Jagdish come from Brahman? When the Brahman gets contaminated or get in touch with the goodness element, so Brahman plus material goodness becomes Jagdish. Brahman plus material passion equals to Jiva, like you and me, and Brahman plus mode of ignorance equals to Jagat. So they call it, this is called Tattvatraya. You can refer into Google. Don't do it, I would say, but they're called Tattvatraya. Tattvatraya means from Brahman, these three things come, and these three things like manifest the whole material nature. And they call everything is just mithya. Mithya means illusory, it doesn't exist. So they call this Tattvatraya. So now, according to this definition, Tattvatraya, Brahman plus mode of goodness. And mode of goodness is a part of material nature or spiritual nature? Anyone? Mode of goodness?
Material
Material nature.
Material nature. So that means we are saying Krishna's form is material. That's why they call as the offenders of Krishna's form. While we know Krishna's form in the material world, even when Krishna comes here, is not a form of material world. It's transcendental. Krishna's body is transcendental. Whether it's in this material world or in that spiritual, wherever Krishna is, Lord Ram is, Vishnu is, they are completely transcendental. Because if you remember from 7:13, Trived Gunmayi Bhave Ivi Sarvam Idam Jagat. So all the three modes come from me. I am in them, but I am not under them. So Krishna is above the three modes of material nature. So this is actually a contradictory concept which they present. So you understand the concept here? So Brahman with mode of goodness, they say Jagdish gets performed, and then we call it Ram, Krishna, and whatever we call it. But they are all the form of Maya. They're all illusory form. And if you cannot concentrate on the formless, so you concentrate on Krishna, that's fine. So whoever does the deity worship as per them, they are very low people, very sentimental people. They cannot meditate on the formless. So you start meditating on the form now. And once you become advanced, as per them, advanced, then you can skip the form. So they use the form as a stepping stone to go towards the Brahman. When in Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita, again and again is constantly saying, Mattah partaram na anyat. And we also discuss 14:26, Brahmano hi pratistaham. I am the foundation of Brahman. Krishna is constantly saying that Brahman is coming from me. Hiranya Menapatrena, Ishopanishad 15th verse. So many references are given within this realm which Prabhupada has given. Forget about the other references. There's so many other references. There's constantly saying Krishna is the producer of three modes of material nature. Krishna does not come under the modes of material nature, and that includes mode of goodness. So it's a very self-contradictory sort of conception which they have. So that's why Krishna is saying, if you have that sort of conception, you also consider me, as Mayavadis do, that avyaktam, from Brahman, you have become a Vyakti. You got in mode of touch with mode of goodness, and then now the Jagdish is performed. So that one Krishna is calling as Abhuddhaya. So very clear indication of Krishna's mind here. This is completely bogus. Completely bogus. Chaitanya Prabhu used a term called monstrous. Monstrous means one who devours you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunbe Hoile Sarvanash. Sarvanash. So if you hear Mayavadi Bhashya, the commentaries of Mayavad, Hoile Sarvanash. Why Sarvanash? Sarvanash does not mean your Sampatti will go. That means your Krishna consciousness will go. Prabhupada also called these modern schools as slaughterhouses. So not that the kids get murdered there, but the kids are very komal. They're very, very soft-hearted. Whatever you tell them in the beginning days, they don't mind. You do pranam, they do pranam. They do not argue. Why are you doing pranam to Krishna? Why not to Durga Devi? Why you have to do pranam like Dandavat pranam? No kid argues like that. Only adult argue. I also have a God. You are worshipping Krishna. You go to ISKCON. I go to some other Babaji. So kids don't argue. Kids are very soft-hearted. So they are very, very conducive. The heart is very conducive for the development of Krishna consciousness. But adults, many times, they argue so much. So Prabhupada called it, these schools are like the slaughterhouses, which kills the tendency for these kids to become Krishna conscious. Slowly, they also become one of these modern world product. So if you're following this philosophy, Krishna is saying you are Abhuddhaya. Why? The second line also expands on it. Param bhavam ajananto. Param bhavam refers to, param word refers to, we heard the word para and apara. Para means beyond, transcendental. I have a transcendental bhava. My nature is transcendental always. Not that when I come in the world, I come under the modes of material nature. Never. Ajananto. So jananto means jananto or janati, and one is called ajananto. They are not aware of my param bhava, transcendental nature. Mam avyayam anuttamam. So I am avyay. Avyay refers to imperishable. We have heard this word earlier as well. So we have word aja and avyaya. Aja refers to aja. Ja means janma. A means no janma. I have no janma. So aja refers to no janma, means no beginning. And avyaya refers to no ending. Like if you buy kapoor today, everyone knows kapoor, camphor. If you leave the kapoor outside, what will happen? It's a perishable object. After 3 days you come, it will become very small. And after a few days, you will see it just disappear. This is called vyay. But Krishna is avyay. Gopinath is avyay. Krishna's paraphernalia, his devotees, avyay. So mam avyam anuttapam. I am the finest. So I'll just read translation again. Prabhupada very nicely writes, unintelligent men, abuddhiya, who do not me perfectly, think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before, avyaktam, that's the translation here, and have now assumed this personality, vyaktim. So from imperson to person. Due to their small knowledge, Prabhupada actually respectfully writing, actually Krishna is saying abuddhya, but Prabhupada is writing small knowledge. They do not know my higher nature, param bhavam, which is imperishable and supreme, anuttapam. Anuttapam refers to supreme nature. Okay, we have a couple of hands here, so start. Rupam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This definition of Brahmavadis, so they are voidism. They're
not voidism. Voidism is Buddhism, Prabhuji. So Brahmavadis is everything is Brahman. Brahman is the topmost, and that's about it. So they don't say Krishna's form, Lord Ram's form, is a form of Maya. It's material. But Mayavadis, which come under the subset of Brahmavadis, and they should be, nowadays actually it's other way. Mayavadis are the supreme. Sab kuch mil jayega, ek mein, kuch nahi mil jayega. Krishna said in 2.12 as well, these king, what's the verse? 2.12? These king always existed. I'm forgetting that verse here. Anyone can click me the first line, 2.12. Anyway. Thank you. So Krishna clearly said, all these kings always existed, you always existed, I always existed, but you don't remember. I remember everything. So nothing will get merged.
So Buddhism falls under Mayavadi?
It's a sort of a different sort of arena, Prabhuji. Different arena. Wide is everything is wide. So there's so many isms these days.
Okay. So going back to my question, so the Brahmavadis, what do they worship if they are
Brahman, formless? They meditate on formless. That Jyoti, which you would have heard in India, I'm sure. Just meditate on the Jyoti. That Brahma Jyoti, that from everything has come from Jyoti. Lord Vishnu has come from that Jyoti. Shiva has come from Jyoti. People have so many different conceptions.
So they accept the form of Shiva and all demigods.
Yeah, but as a form of Brahman or as a form of Maya. So when they consider as a form of Brahman, they are okay. They are Brahman-like, but we are saying Vishnu is Parabrahma. We are not against that. But what we are saying, we are not as good as Vishnu. We are just a minute part of Lord Vishnu.
So do they worship deities then?
That's what I explained. So if you worship deity, for example, they say, oh, that's all right. Rupam Prabhu, you are just a neophyte. You can worship deities. Once you become advanced, then you don't have to worship deity. Then you can meditate on that formless. So they don't, but they allow deity worship in the terms of neophyte people has to do some, worship to the form because they're not used to meditate on formless. So till the time you become that expert that you can meditate on formless, you can worship deity. You're just sentimental, low-class devotees. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sundar Prabhuji or Satyabhama Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I have two questions. One is when you mentioned Prabhuji, Buddhism is considered to be the voidism. So Lord Krishna is also Lord Buddha was also the incarnation of Krishna only, Prabhu.
Yes.
So how come we, relate to voidism and we criticize that or we don't?
Okay, yeah, I'll try to answer that. So before I answer that question, just one thing which I remembered, which is sort of benefit for this topic. So Prabhupada Pranam Mantra, we say, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata Deshatharana. So there are two words, Nirvishesh and Shunyavad. Nirvishesh refer to impersonalism and Shunyavad refers to voidism. So there are two different categories. But for Prabhupada said, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata. So Paschyata, the Western countries is full of these two concepts. Paschyata Deshatarani. Prabhupada came to deliver these people who consider even Nirvishesh or Shunyavad. Just clarifying that. Now coming back to your question, Mataji, Buddha is also incarnation of Krishna. So how come we are criticizing sort of voidism which was introduced by? So There's a whole lot of story here. I'll try to cut short as much as possible. So Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna. There is no doubt about it. First thing first, huh? So, but different incarnation of Lord come in different time for a different reason. Not all the incarnations of Lord will be providing the ultimate information, as Veda Vyas have done. He is the author of all the Vedas, but he has written Purana is mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Similarly, Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna, but when Krishna saw in the material world, people are becoming very, very violent and they're killing so many jivas. Now, in that sort of mindset, the pure devotion service cannot be taught. So Krishna thought the best thing would be, I will go in the form of Buddha and teach these jivas at least to become non-violent. Because when Buddha was coming or about to come, that time they were taking help of Vedas, because in Vedas the sacrifices are written. So we are not against that. But this is also written, Kali Yuga, no sacrifices should be done, because we're not eligible. When we sort of sacrifice a cow as per Vedic culture, or a horse in a fire sacrifice, you give new life to that jiva. That sort of ability you should have. You cannot just kill someone. This is not allowed. You should be able to give by the power of mantra. You sacrifice that horse body, and he either gets a fresh horse body or a human body. So he sort of bypasses so many births and so many miseries. So you're elevating that soul through the yajna. And there were very elevated brahmanas. But these brahmanas were not elevated, and just by taking the help of the shastric knowledge, they were misusing it, misrepresenting it, and they were cutting so many animals. So Buddha came, which is again Krishna, and said, actually, Vedas are, you should not consider Vedas. Ahimsa paramo dharma, you should become ahimsa, non-violent. And he preached throughout non-violence, non-violence, non-violence. And basically that was the need. But then later on, from this non-violence, like rejecting the Vedas, Krishna sent Lord Shiva in the form of Shankaracharya. And he said, Lord Shiva, you go and preach impersonalism. And Lord Shiva said, I'm not going to do that. Impersonalism be, but I personally worship you. Krishna said, no, this is the need of time. So this is called a devotee. Lord Shiva is such a great devotee. Although he loves Krishna, he worshipped Krishna as in person, but he preached impersonalism because that was the instruction of his master. So he came as Shankaracharya and he preached impersonalism. But many times, especially towards the end of his life, he said, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudmate. He said that, what he wanted to say. So he followed the instruction, but in his heart, he was not satisfied. So he said, no, we have to do it. From Buddha, then came Shankaracharya, then came Madhvacharya actually. And from Madhvacharya came Ramanujacharya. And slowly, they re-established the Vedic conclusions. And then eventually we had Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who gave the worship of not only Radha and Krishna, but also he gave Krishna Prema, which no other incarnation of Krishna provides. So it's a progression which Krishna does for the jivas. Now, you and me looking in a very limited perspective of time, we think, oh, why this and why that? But if you look in perspective of eternity, these things are just like a drop, just like a drop. So your kid is say 6-year-old today, you start mathematics, you say 2 + 2 beta is 2. And when you do 2 - 5, you cannot do that because 5 is greater than 2. Huh? Now, at his age, he cannot do 2 - 5. Huh? But at your age, you can do 2 - 5 = -3. It's a valid conclusion. But at their age, what you will teach them? 2 - 5, that's not possible. Huh? So similarly, in the larger picture, if you see, these things are happening in just flash of movement. Buddha comes, Shankaracharya comes, Madhvacharya comes, Ramanujacharya comes, different Goswamis come, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come, and then finally we have Prabhupada, for example. Huh? Just in a flash of movement, it happens. But for us, it looks big. Why Krishna is doing that? One more last point. I heard in a lecture very nicely about Buddhism. So he says, even if Krishna, so we have 3 things, like Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. All they have to align to be able to make any decision. So if they're not aligned, if 2 are aligned, 1 is not aligned, we should quit the 3rd one. Now here, sadhus are saying worship Krishna, not impersonalism, right? What is Shastra saying? Worship Krishna, not impersonalism. So even if Krishna personally come in the form of Mahatma Buddha as a guru, for example, he is a guru, he's saying ahimsa paramo dharma. We reject the form of the Lord which goes against Shastra and Sadhu. So even if Krishna comes and says, Don't worship me, worship empiricism. What you will say? Get out. I am going to worship you. I'm going to worship. So that's why we reject the form of Buddha, although he is Krishna. Is that making sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. And the second question.
Second question, Prabhuji, this Jagdish, Jiva, and Jagat, could you just explain more because it's too confusing? Sorry.
Okay, so as per their definition, it's not our Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava definition. As per their definition, the Brahman comes in contact with mode of goodness, produces Jagdish. So Jagdish is mode of goodness. That's what they say. Brahman covered by, you can say, Brahman covered by mode of goodness is Jagdish. Brahman covered with mode of passion, like Jivas, like human beings, like you and me and other people, they are Jivas. So Brahman covered with mode of passion. Brahman covered with mode of ignorance is called the Jagat. And we are interacting with each other. This is all modes of material. These are all the producers of modes of material nature. That's why you don't need to bother about them. Worship Brahman, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. That's what they call it. But we don't say they are illusion. Your family is real. Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya says your family is temporary, but it's real. So there's a difference between temporariness and illusion. Your dream is an illusion. Your family is not an illusion, isn't it? Dream is illusion. As soon as you wake up, oh, I was dreaming. That's fine. It's all right. You cannot say, oh, my child is illusion. No, you cannot say that. Your child is real. Your child is temporary with you. That's a fact. But you don't say so. We serve those relations. We serve those responsibilities accordingly. So, and Krishna is saying by serving them, you become purified. So that's under your devotional service.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Manmohan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So just a couple of questions regarding,
Couple of questions, okay.
First one is Brahmavadi. So do they have any acceptance of the three aspects of the absolute truth? Like Bhagwan, Paramatma, and Brahman, or they only know only Brahman, and they don't know that there is Paramatma and Bhagwan form of the absolute truth.
They do accept. That's why I think in last class, the fight is not whether they have three concepts or not. They both accept. But who is the highest? That's the fight is for. So they consider Brahman as the highest. We consider Brahman as the lowest.
Okay. Yes. Then the second question regarding Mayavad, Prabhu, the way you explained that it comes when the material intelligence comes in contact with the Brahman, then Jagat.
Mode of goodness come. So Brahman comes in contact with mode of goodness equals to Jagadish. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
So Krishna's form is under the modes of material nature, which is not true.
My understanding was that Maya is above Brahman for Mayavadis, and Maya influences Brahman, and then the fragments fall down into this material world.
And one of the definition of Maya is three modes of material nature, and that's why we call it, Prabhu, you are in illusion. Sometimes when you're not doing the right thing, even we call ourselves, I'm in Maya, I'm in Maya. What does Maya mean? We are acting under the modes of material nature. Sometimes we act as good person, sometimes we act as passionate person, sometimes we act as ignorant person. We all experience that, and we call ourselves, Prabhu, you are in Maya, right? So that Maya equals to, you can say, three modes of material nature. We are all acting, Prabhuji, right or wrong, whatever, because of three modes of material nature. Some people are in too much ignorance, some like sleeping 16 hours a day, not interested. Some in passion, I want to show my car and my personality, I want to impress everyone. There's a passion, goodness, taking shelter of knowledge, but not transcendental knowledge. They're like, big philosophers and engineers and Nobel laureates and all that. They're in mode of goodness. They're not harming other people, but they are very analytical people. So, but they are in Maya because they are not connected with transcendence. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. And just one last question, that Brahmavadis say everyone is equal. Is it
because they consider everyone is Brahman? Yes.
Brahman. So even Krishna is same as us. We are also Bhagwan.
That's what they say. You have forgotten you are Bhagwan. And the example they give, that's what they give. I heard in one of the lectures somewhere. You are a baby lion, a cub. They call it cub, I guess. So you are a cub. when you were born, your mother lost you, and you came in the group of all these goats. So when you were growing up, you grew up with the goats, so that the baby lion thinks I'm also a goat, and I have to eat grass. And once you realize, when you see your mother, you are lion, and then you start eating the goats. Now you have realized. That's what they consider, but we don't consider that.
But in a way, it is offending Krishna, isn't it? That considering us equal to Krishna.
They are.
We think that somehow, like in the lectures, I've heard that Brahmavadis are not offenders.
Yes.
And they are innocent, and
Yes.
like they are shown the right path.
Yes.
And like we have examples of Sukadev Goswami,
Yes.
and the four Kumaras, they go to the level of devotional service.
Yes.
So like at that level, they are still not considered offenders, although they are considering Krishna and all the jivas.
So that's why Prabhuji, I think I tried to explain that earlier. So there's a difference between them. So Brahmadis are not offenders. They say, I am attached to Brahman aspect, you are attached to whichever aspect. So they don't say Krishna is a form of Maya. They don't say. That's why I say a subset is Mayavad, where they start interpreting Krishna's form as a form of Maya, which is mode of goodness. Yeah. So we can interpret Maya as equals to mode of goodness. So when they have this conception, they are called Mayavadis. When they don't have that conception, I am attached to Brahman, you are attached to Krishna, that's fine. Right. I'm not bothering you. But when I start bothering you, actually, Manmohan Prabhuji, you're not doing the right thing, I am doing the right thing. And you should also do what I do. Then I'm sort of offending your faith. Sure. And then I will be categorized as Mayavad, because you are worshipping a form which is a product of material nature. Hang on a second. Krishna's form is not the product of material nature. Krishna is beyond that material nature. Bhagavad Gita itself is saying, this chapter itself is saying, many other quotations are there. Krishna is the source of material nature and the modes of material. He is not under the modes of material nature. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That clears a lot of doubts, Prabhu. Thank you. It's very nice.
This topic is like that. We just have to keep reading Prabhupada books, it will get clarified. Sakhi Radhika Mataji. All intelligent people asking intelligent questions.
Just one thing I wanted to clear. I've heard in a lot of lectures about 5 types of muktis, and then I was just thinking, do the Brahmavadis are in Shantrasa and they get into Sayujya Mukti?
Not really. What I have heard from Bhakti Rasamrat Maharaj, he said Brahmavadis just go outside the city and then they circle around the city. So they cannot be in Shantrasa, because Shantrasa you start reciprocating with the Lord. Like Lord steps on the grass. So grass is in Shantrasa. Lord using a room or a bed to sit down. They are all in Shantrasa. They're serving the Lord. But the Brahmavadis, they go in that Brahmajyoti, they don't interact, and that's why they fall down. Prabhupada said they stay there for a long time and then they fall down. So they don't enter into Vaikuntha at all. They just stay into that light. So they don't get that sort of mukti. They just go in Brahman, stay there for a long time, which seems like an eternity, but eventually they fall down.
So
Maharaj said they're just like around the city. They never enter into the Sydney city, for example.
So Prabhu, who qualified to go in, like I've read it somewhere, I think in Nectar of Devotion, I think long back, just correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
That the Gyanis go to the Shantrasa, the Sayujya Muktis. I was just confused. Is it correct?
As far as my understanding is, Bhaktas go to Shantrasa, because now within that there may be dominance of Jnana, but there has to be element of Bhakti to be able to reciprocate with the Lord. Otherwise you cannot enter into that loka and have that, like it says, the grass in the spiritual world is completely satisfied when the Lord steps on it. It's completely satisfied. It doesn't want to become a sakha of Krishna. Grass is satisfied. The tree is satisfied when he offers his fruits to Krishna. They are all in Shantrasa. They're completely satisfied. But this person who is in Brahma Jyoti will never be satisfied. Satisfied for a while, but not for eternity.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ram. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry,
okay, let's move forward.
One last question.
One last question. Yes, Prabhuji.
Very quickly, it will be a one-liner answer. Where does Islam and Christianity sit within these two definitions?
You mean about the
Like is
impersonalism, you mean?
Yeah. So Islam also, they believe in Allah and they don't do deity worship.
Yes.
They have a formless entity which they worship. So will you call them as Brahmavadis?
So I don't want to categorize them, to be very honest, because I don't want to say which I'm not aware of. So I've not heard it. They're called Abrahamic religions. They are just modern religions. They existing for very, very, very short amount of time. So I will not categorize them at all, to be very honest. Yeah, unless someone else know, go for it, because I don't want to do something which I'm not sure of.
I think Christianity, the aim itself to go to the heaven rather than going to Vaikuntha or something.
Yeah. And but I think what Rupan is asking, because Islam also considers this Brahma Jyoti sort of concept, but I wouldn't categorize them as a Vedic part at all, because they never existed in the past. Our Gyanis, to be honest, are very, very elevated than these so-called Islamic people considering a Jyoti. Our Gyanis are much, much elevated, much, much elevated. Anyway, I'm not sure.
So this is like a fourth category, right, Prabhu? First being devotee, second, like first being those who worship to Krishna, second worship to demigods, third worship to impersonalism, and fourth
and everyone else.
Everyone else.
See, I'm just saying on the basis of what Vedic culture says. And what the modern world says, probably there's not much to say there. There's so many opinions and things and that. So we just follow. There are like, in Bhagavatam, they say they're like kukurmutta. You know, kukurmutta, mushroom? They're mushroom religion. Bhagavatam says that, I'm not saying. So they are like mushroom religion. They come on the next to the drainage. They grow for a while and then they disappear. That's all it is, honestly. So there is no category for them, to be very honest. Like we are in a country which is called the country of Yavanas and Malechas. Now they are the 10th to 16th category in Shastra. So what do we say? One more thing I'll say, and then we can stop, just from the Vedic perspective. So they call it kutte ka mains, one who eat sopach. Sopach means one who eats the meat of dog. They are the lowest category in Vedic culture. Now, who eats the meat of cow? I've heard from Radha Govind Maharaj. He said this is not even categorized in the Vedic culture. It didn't exist. So it has to be asura. You cannot say, in the cultured list, they're on 16th and the next one is 17th. No, it doesn't exist. They stop on the one who eats the meat of dog. That's it. They stop there. No more. Now everything else is asura. Demons. Anything is demon. There's no more category there. So sorry, but that's what it says. There's no category after that. So it's so low. Vedic culture does not bother to make a category for them. They are like anya, all other people. Okay. Ujjwal Rasa Mataji or Akhand Rasa Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just
Hare
a quick
Krishna.
question. I was curious. We see a lot of Mayavadis around us. We come across so many people, but Brahmavadis, I haven't come across anyone. So are they still there, or are they almost no more, extinct?
Okay, I'll try to repeat what I've heard from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu on this topic. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was saying modern Mayavad is saying it's like a khichdi. That's what Prabhu said. Even they don't know what they are following, because no one reads the book. So he's saying modern Mayavad, as per Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, are not the extremist Mayavadis. Extremist Mayavadi means they actually don't know. They consider themselves as Mayavad. They don't know Brahmavad. They don't know Mayavad. So if you start questioning them, analyzing them, actually they don't have any answer. So he said, actually, they're all nice people. They consider themselves a part of a group which follows, say, Mayavad or Brahma, whatever it may be. But they actually have no clear conception. So Prabhu was saying it's a khichdi. There's no extreme Brahmavadis or no extreme Mayavadis in the existing world. Majority, I can say at least. Very few here and there, because no one reads the Shastra. They say, wo sab, kya kehte hain? There's a word in Hindi, Akhand Jyoti, This all Jyoti is coming from Jyoti. If you start questioning, what is that Jyoti? Where does Jyoti come from? How do you manifest? How does the Jagat manifest? They have actually no answer. So Prabhupada, it's not. Chaitanya Charitamrita was saying, there is no extreme, like Pakka Mayavad or Pakka Brahmavad. It's all khichdi. They have no clear conception these days, and which is a characteristic of Kali Yuga. No one reads Shastra. ISKCON, sorry to say, is the only movement, at least in my knowledge, who teaches Shastra. Which other group teaches Shastra? Very few. They have Bhagavad Gita, worship Bhagavad Gita. That's why they commentary on Bhagavatam. Teaching day and night, having classes like that. I'm not aware of any other organization. Prabhupada introduced that system. You have to read, you have to read, you have to read. If you want to become devotee of the Lord. Otherwise, it's all emotional. It's all emotional. Yeah? Mangalvar Vrat, and then Buddhavar Vrat, and then Shukrvar Vrat, and then Shanivar Vrat. Whatever problem you have in your life, for that, there's a Vrata. You follow that. That problem is solved. Oh, for that one, you follow that Devi. For that one, you follow that Baba. And I'm sorry, we all have done it in the past in India. Huh? For this particular problem, there's a particular stuti. Huh? So many stutis are there. So this time you please, Mataji, you refer to that stuti. And people do that. With Shraddha they do it. It's all khichdi. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
If that's okay, then I can move to Mataji. Mataji's just last little question. Mataji is saying no.
Sorry, Prabhu. Yeah,
No
just
problem.
going further thing. So we have discussed about Mayavadi, Brahmavadi, demigod devotees,
Worshippers.
and then Vaishnavism,
Yeah.
and then rest all like Muslims, Christians, etc.
We have not discussed it. Rupam Prabhu just
Yeah,
asked.
I mean, like we have categorized them. So now in Vaishnavism, when you see, again, there are categories, right? Like Advaita, Vishishta Advaita. It starts with Advaita and then goes to Vishishta Advaita and then Dvaita, right,
Dvaita.
Prabhu?
That's correct. That's correct.
So again, in Vaishnavism, basically, what I understand is all these three philosophies also say that bhakti is the ultimate goal for us to reach to Lord, right? As far as I think that
Yes.
that is a same preaching across all these three philosophies. However, they have still this Advaita. So if we have time, can we just
Okay.
put some words on this? Or
Okay, that's a separate topic altogether. I'll just say very quickly as I was answering the question of Satyabhama Mataji. So when Lord incarnated as Lord Buddha, then Lord Shankaracharya ji came, and then Madhvacharya came, which introduced this Advaitavad. Sorry, Shankaracharya introduced Advaitavad, then Madhvacharya introduced Dvaitavad. And then who's the next Acharya after Madhvacharya who introduced Vishishta?
No, Prabhu, first Shankaracharya and then Ramanujacharya and then Madhavacharya.
Ramanujacharya actually came later.
No, Prabhu, I was just seeing
Ramanujacharya
the
is earlier.
dates.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Madhvacharya later, okay, and that might be the true. I cannot. I've read all this, but I cannot.
Yeah, and the
exact
transformation also see like Advaita, then Vishishta Advaita and Dvaita.
Yes.
So
it's a
yeah.
progression, Mataji. Basically, it's a progression. So from Advaitavad to bring it to the level of worship of Radha and Krishna, Ahetuki Apratihata devotion. It's like a 500 to 600 years of journey given by different acharyas. Huh? So you cannot.
But what is the difference? Yeah.
What's the difference? That we have to take another seminar. It's very clearly. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took two principles from each sampradaya, each Vaishnava sampradaya, and he gave this Marg of Bhakti. And Hare Krishna mantra already existed, but he said, if you chant Hare Krishna mantra now, you will get the love of Godhead. So that was the special thing given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He took service aspect from one sampradaya, and he took another aspect from another sampradaya, Rudra sampradaya, and all that. So it's a progression. But for us, it looks like 600, 700 years and this and that. But actually, it's just like a little child. Your child going to year 3 and then year 4, year 5, year 6, and year 7. Like it's a progression. So Krishna is trying to uplift our consciousness. We are very fortunate. Okay, so 7:24 took most of our time today, but that's nice. I hope it was useful discussion because this terminology get used again and again, and some points getting clarified is nice in that sense. Okay, let's move to 7:25. We're still continuing the same topic of this Brahmavadis. Who have not read as yet? I'm looking. Jamati Mataji, sorry. If I've skipped someone, I'm literally screening through.
No problem, Prabhu. Okay. Naham prakasha sarvasya.
Naham prakasha sarvasya.
Yoga maya samavritaha.
Yoga maya samavritaha.
Mudo ayam nabhajanati.
Mudhoyam na abhijanati.
Loko mam ajam avyam.
Loko mam ajam avyayam.
I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my material potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible.
Thank you, Mataji. So, na aham prakashah sarvasya. So, aham refers to Krishna as saying, na aham, I am not prakasha, manifest to sarvasya. I am not manifest to everyone. Now, many times you would have heard, especially in the book distribution, okay, Jamati Mataji, you got the best verse actually. Sorry, I didn't choose from that perspective, but my Mataji approaches the people sometime and they say, Prabhuji, please take Bhagavad Gita or any other book like that. So she or any other book distributor get asked this question again and again. Agar Bhagwan exists karta hai to dikhao. If Krishna exists or God exists, let me appear in front of me right now. I'll count 1 to 10 and God should appear in front of me. So what's the answer for that? Now devotees know the answer, but you can ask this question. Like, even your father will not come on the count of 10. What to speak of Krishna, God? Huh? He's not your servant. Is not your order carrying servant. We are the order carrying servant of Krishna. So why will even a president of this country will come? If I say there is no president if he doesn't come in front of me in next 10 seconds. So does president bothers about me, insignificant citizen of this country? So similarly, when we sort of certify extremely insignificant mosquito like a jiva, that Krishna does not exist, it doesn't bother Krishna. I said, Surya doesn't exist. I'm like a owl in the night, 1 o'clock in the night. There's a story I heard in a Radha Govind Maharaj lecture, very nice story. He says some owls having meeting at 1 o'clock in the night. So they were having meeting that there is no light, there is no sun, it doesn't exist. And everyone was like, yes, I vote you. 100 out of 100 votes they got. And then what happened? 2 Rajhans came on that tree because they were traveling from one place to another place and there's night. So they sat on the tree. They were hearing this meeting of owls. So owls, all the ullus came to this Rajhans and said, do you think that sun exists? Rajan says, of course it exists. The day will come and you'll see a beautiful sun shining. It's very big. And the Rajan started describing. And all the ullus, all the owls said, oh, you liar, you don't know anything. You don't know anything. We are 100, you are only 2. So we outvote you. Your opinions are just abuddhaya. So these ullus are giving certificate to Rajhans that you are abuddhaya. You are completely unintelligent. You are completely village person. Similarly, many times we as a bunch of devotees, you can say, get this certificate from outsiders. You are all, these ISKCON, these Hare Krishnas, you don't have much intelligence. What are you chanting 2 hours, sitting at one place? What does it make a difference? What do you get actually? What do you get? So one time I remember Madhuri Mataji was serving temple, some Janmashtami feast or something. One Mataji next to her asked her, so how much you get paid here? Mataji said, Mataji, I don't get paid for working here. I pay to work here. And she thought she's completely gone from here. You stand here for 3 or 5 hours and you pay money to Krishna. That's what we do. That's what we do. So we don't get paid. We pay. Now, what are we going to pay? But the point is completely ununderstandable by these materialistic mindsets. So when these ullus are giving a certificate, do we need to bother about it? Not bother. We are taking certificate from Vyasadeva, from Krishna, from all these rishis, Arjun, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya. We taking certificate from these rishis. We are not bothered about these certificates which are created by these materialistic mindset people. Not we are disrespecting them. We're not bothered. Prahlad was also given the certificate of Pagal. Meera was given the certificate of Pagal. So who are we? So if we get the certificate, we'll be very happy. We should be very happy. Chanakya Pandit said, whoever left you in the situation of crisis, I'm very thankful to them because they knew I can do it on my own. So we should be thankful. Who sort of certifies us. Ye to gaya kaam se. He is gone. Iski bhais pani mein chali gayi. He is gone. Actually, we are very happy because, it's fantastic to be in association of devotees rather than having to have association of non-devotees. So, Naham Prakasha, Krishna doesn't have to manifest himself to everyone. One more point here, which we can understand very clearly. even in today's world, Manmohan Prabhu is top of my screen, for example. I can give him his example. Now, if a patient comes in a lot of pain and he said, if Manmohan Prabhu exists, he must come in front of me right now. And he said, bhai, appointment lena padega. Kab milega 3 mahine ke baad? Huh? After 3 months, you get the appointment. Huh? It's like, I certify Manmohan Prabhu does not exist. Huh? Manmohan Prabhu is like, okay, fine. I'm going to temple to serve the deities. Huh? Means he doesn't. I'm just saying very, very simple example. Even a very simple person like us also have our rights. Huh? We have women right, we have lower caste right, we have this right and that right. So Krishna also has right. What right Krishna has? I will manifest in front of someone. I will not manifest myself in front of someone. You certify me, you don't certify me, it doesn't bother me. Divya Gyan Hirdaya Prakashito. Huh? So that Krishna, through the madhyam, through the medium of Guru, will manifest in our heart. That knowledge will come in our heart. So we cannot demand that love of Godhead from a guru or from Krishna or from anyone. We cannot demand. We can have a service attitude, and based on our attitude, the guru and Krishna will manifest that gyan in our heart. If we have a demanding attitude, will it work? Even in hospital, sorry, I'm giving an example of hospital. If you go, the demanding attitude doesn't work. Humility works. You have to sit down, wait. They say, no, respect our staff. That we see that all the time, respect our staff, because they're also human, they're working. So similarly, Krishna is not bound. Krishna is not obliged to manifest himself of everyone and everywhere. So Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. The second line is very important. Yoga Maya Samavrata. I am covered by Yoga Maya. So it's not like Krishna is covered by Yoga Maya. We already know the word Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Yoga Maya is the energy of Krishna which increases the devotion, and Mahamaya is the energy of Krishna which decreases the devotion. So in our terminology, in our world, we are under, no, you guys are under Yoga Maya, I'm under Mahamaya. I forget Krishna all the time. So I have to be reminded. I have to be reminded by devotees, by lectures, by Shastra that no, you're offline, you should come online. So Yoga Maya, Prabhupada gives this example of, if you are standing on an earth planet, if a cloud is covering Sydney, you are not able to see sun. So you will say sun is covered by clouds. That's what we generally say. Aaj badal aaye hain. There's so many clouds. Is cloud covering the sun or cloud covering you? What's the truth? Cloud cannot cover. Cloud is very insignificant. Sun is huge, but cloud covers you. And because cloud covers you, you cannot see the sun. You say, oh, badal ne surya ko dhak liya hai. Clouds have covered the sun. In general, we call it, but that's not true. So Yoga Maya Samavrata. So who is covered? Actually, living entity is covered. Mudhoyam na bijanati. Mudha, a foolish jiva who demands Krishna's presence in next 10 seconds or like those sort of arguments. Na bijan, they never know me. Loko mam ajam avyayam. So I am aja and avyay. I just explained the two meanings. Aja means unborn and avyay means unending. So imperishable. So no beginning, no end. Naham Prakasha. So Krishna does not manifest. So when many people do not consider the existence of Krishna, it's fine. Krishna is saying that it's fine. You don't consider me, it's fine. American president doesn't bother which owl certifies him or no. He does what he wants to do. Russian president doesn't bother. He does what he wants to do. So similarly, Krishna also is a person. He said, I don't manifest, and you consider me as non-existent. No problem. No problem. I have a right not to get manifest in front of you. The only place where Krishna gets manifested, where he has this service attitude of a devotee, his guru certifies, no, my disciple is good. Then Krishna says, okay, now I will come and manifest in your heart and give you all the knowledge. Okay, 726. Who wants to do that? Charu Mataji, Hare Krishna, sitting silently, hearing all the conversations.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Please bear with me.
Sure.
Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Arjun, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. Thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. So here Krishna, after saying the verse 725, that I have a right not to get manifested, is differentiating his position from a normal living entity. Veda aham. So Veda refers to knowledge. So aham, I know, samtitani. So sam atitani, basically this is the word. So atit word is like a Hindi word, it comes from Sanskrit, obviously. Atit means past. Sam atitani, complete past. So Prabhupada writes here, samtitani, complete past. We also remember some past memories, right? Especially the bad ones. But how much we remember? Very little. But Krishna knows all, samtitani, all the past. Vartamani, Vartaman refers to the present. Cha Arjun, Arjun, Bhavishyani cha bhutani. So I know all the past, present, and future. Mam tuved na kashan, but no one knows me. So Krishna is such a person, such a Bhagwan who knows everything. Radha Govind Maharaj was telling in one class, he's saying, even after millions of births, when we are going to sneeze, that also Krishna knows. He knows exactly, at 10 past 12 and 13 seconds, this jiva is going to sneeze in the body of a crow, for example. Krishna knows that. Krishna knows everything. And in the past trillions of births we have passed, Krishna knows everything. So Krishna knows all about past, present, and future, but we don't. But Krishna knows. So Krishna, through this verse, is basically distinguishing his position. I have a right not to get manifested, and I know everything, but you don't. So I know everything that has happened in the past, happening in the present, all things are yet to come. I also know all the bhutani. So I know all the living entities, but me, no one knows. Now here, me, no one knows does not mean no one knows him at all. We're not saying that. Generally, no one knows Krishna, generally, but obviously devotees know Krishna. And how much devotees know Krishna? As much as Krishna allows them to know. Guru Maharaj was saying once, does Guru know everything? No, he doesn't know everything. Everything only Krishna knows. But Guru knows everything what he needs to know. I really like that. He knows everything what he needs to know. And that's good. You want to make a karele ka sabji, bhindi ka sabji. If you have that knowledge, you'll be glorified. Oh, aap karele ka sabji bahut acha banate hain. You know how to make karela sabji very nice. Or paneer kofta, whatever. If you ask anything else, I don't know. One disciple of Prabhupada, a female disciple of Prabhupada, she was giving a class, I think in Jaipur. She was a foreign body disciple, a female disciple. She was giving class. So in Jaipur, there were many pandits who came to Prabhupada to complain against her. This disciple doesn't know much. Doesn't know much. And she's preaching on Ishopnishad. No, she was teaching some Bhagavad Gita or something. So Prabhupada said, no, this disciple knows everything. She knows so much. She knows all the Upanishads. She knows everything. And they said, no, we don't believe it. And luckily she was there close to Prabhupada. She said, I forgot her name. Anyway, she said, Mataji, please tell the conclusion of all the Upanishads. And she explains later in her own class, my heart was beating like anything. I hardly knew a few verses. And here Prabhupada in front of all these pandits saying, give me the conclusion of all the Upanishads. And she said, the only Upanishad I knew is Ishopnishad. And in that Ishopnishad, I only knew 4 verses. So she started chanting the first one. And she's heart is beating more. Second verse, she said, I don't even know 17 verses of Ishopnishad. And by the time she came to the 4th verse, and she only knew 4 verses, Prabhupada said, that's about it. Now, do you consider she knows everything? They said, yes. So she explains in her own class, I only knew 4 verses and Prabhupada saved me. Just said the 4th verse. Prabhupada said, that's it. Now, do you agree she knows everything? They said, yes, she knows it. But her pronunciation is not good. Prabhupada said, her pronunciation may not be good, but her renunciation is very good. They have left, these young boys and girls have left their home, their family, their nation, their luxury bed, internet, phone, and they are in India helping me in the preaching activities. So Prabhupada said her pronunciation may not be good, but her renunciation is very, very good. So that's what is important. We may be a very knowledgeable person, But that's not so important. How we are serving our Guru, how we are serving Krishna, that is important. And that may be incomplete. And that's all right. Krishna doesn't care how good you pronounce your Bhakti Shastri shlokas. Rupam Prabhu is looking at the list. So it's important. Actually, it's important. You should learn your shlokas nicely. But it's not everything. It's not everything. If you don't know English very well, it's all right. There's no place is written you must know English to go back to Godhead. No, you don't have to. But the point is, we know so much that we don't know anything. That's why we are reading. So we have to streamline ourselves. We have to know the things in proper perspective. And then with our current knowledge, with our current abilities, whatever, we can go back to Godhead in this lifetime itself. Prabhupada said that I guarantee. Prabhupada is guaranteeing it. So what better we can ask actually? What better we can ask? Okay, let's move to 727. Another beautiful verses. I love this 7th chapter. Every verse after verse is more beautiful verse. Okay, Madhuri Mataji has a little question.
Very quick one, Prabhu. What is the context? Like 24 and 25, we are talking about impersonals, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
now here, Krishna says, like, I know the past, future. So is it the establishment of Bhagavan?
It's establishment of Bhagavan. So as the chapter is the knowledge of the Absolute, so Krishna is basically giving different aspects of him, how he is different from a living entity and what a living entity should do and what they don't do. Is giving. And as we know, Bhagavad Gita is a summary book. So in summary, he's describing everything. Now you will see there's no direct connection between 726 and 727. And we'll see. But again, under the umbrella of knowledge of the Absolute is absolutely direct connection.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe Mataji, you can do it while you are here. You want to do 727, Madhuri Mataji?
Oh, yeah. So. Icha dvesha samuthena Dvandva mohena bharata Sarva bhutani sammoham Sarge yanti parantapa. Translation. O Shayana of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Icha, Dvesha, Samuthena. So, 2 words are used here. Icha. Icha, desire. Does anyone have desire to achieve something which he doesn't like? Anyone have that desire? For a long time, I haven't got COVID. Let's get COVID today. You want to get rid of COVID, but you don't want to get COVID. So Icha can refer to, I'm trying to translate this word, as a positive desire, not negative desire. Icha means positive, what you like, what is favorable to you or for your lifestyle. Dvesha is exactly opposite. What does Dvesha means? The exact translation is enviousness. So enviousness can be translated in terms of literal translation. We are envious of the position of Krishna. That's what they call it, right? The living entity was envious of the position of Krishna, that why Krishna is the center of attraction, why I'm not the center of attraction. And that's one of the reasons why we fell down. Now, enviousness can also exist in terms of we don't want the things which we don't like. Like we like few things, we dislike few things. Prahlad Maharaj calls it in his prayers, Priya and Apriya. So we all likes to have association with those things which we like. We call it very pleasurable. We like to have a BMW. I remember, if I'm not wrong, some BMW. So when we see it, wow, like it. Now when we see Maruti 800, we don't like it. So we call it Dvesha. So Icha and Dvesha can be translated from an application perspective of what we like and what we don't like. So Icha, Dvesha, Samuthena. So Samuthena, they arise from what? So some things we like, some things we don't like. They arise from where? Dvanda, Mohena, Bharata. So Dvanda, everyone understands duality. What are the different types of duality we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita? Everyone knows probably.
So, Hare Krishna,
thank you. Sukha Dukha. They are called dualities of this material world. You cannot get anything out of them. If you are getting some sukha, some dukha will be following, believe me or not. You cannot be always sukhi. If someone has done man, Apman is just around the corner. It's just coming. You just wait. Honestly, it happens with everyone, huh? Shita and Ushna. Shita here refers to pleasurable, and Ushna is Ushna is pleasurable and Shita is unpleasurable. So if some pleasure you see from someone or something, unpleasure is just coming. This is just the way it is. This world is full of duality. It has to be like that. So because of the duality, Mohen Bharata. Moha refers to Avare Mohit Prabhuji. He attracts everyone because he works super hard for Krishna. So Moha refers to bewilderment. Huh? So because of the dualities, living entities, Sarvabhutani Sammoham. So the Moha word is used twice in this word, Sammoham and Mohena. Huh? So all the living entities are bewildered due to the duality, and what's the product of that? Ichha and Dvesha. Huh? Duality. Now you may like someone, for example, and someone may dislike the same person, right? You may love some person or something. And exact your neighbor, I hate this person. It happens. Someone may like you and someone may dislike you. Arey, main to itna acha aadmi hu. I'm such a great person. Another, acha, I'll tell you, just come. And he will open another aspect of your life. Huh? So it exists in this material world. Why does it exist? Because of the dualities, which is a part of this material world. And because of that, we are all bewildered. And then the resultant is Ichha and Dvesha. I like it, I dislike it. Huh? Liking means what gives me pleasure, I like it. One person I met in temple recently, few months ago probably. I think we were serving Sunday feast, and this person, a young boy and a young girl together came. Do you serve meat here? Why you always serve veggies? Don't you serve meat here? I don't like veggies. Like, okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Welcome to ISKCON. That's what you get here. I don't like it. Good luck. This is what we serve here. I've been to New Zealand as well. They also don't serve meat. They also have veggies. Okay, that's what we serve here. So we love it, they hate it. Huh? So Ichha and Dvesha, because of duality, everyone has their own perception. Why they have perception? Because they are bewildered by the modes of material nature. Now, another word Krishna used, Sarge, Sarga, Visarga. Anyone knows the 10 characteristics of Bhagavatam, they will know Sarga and Visarga. So primary creation, secondary creation. So Krishna is calling it Sarge. Sarva, right? Why taking birth? So they are bewildered since what time? Since birth. Now, what to speak of since, but even before birth. So basically what you're saying, every living entity in the material world is completely bewildered. And because of the bewilderment of this duality, they have Ichha and Dvesha. Now, Ichha and Dvesha can be in contrast with Krishna or our own situation. Contrast with Krishna is Ichha, I like Krishna. Dvesha, I don't like Krishna. I want to be, as Michael Jackson was shown this Krishna book, and he was looking at the picture of Radha and Krishna, and he was saying, oh, this picture, having a rasa dance. They're saying this picture is very nice. Just instead of Krishna's face, put my face. And I think someone in computer did that as well. Huh? So they put Michael Jackson in front of Krishna next to Radharani. Huh? That is called Dvesha. Living entity want to be there. Oh, there are 6 billion gopis. Radha Raman Maharaj was giving a class, and he was repeating what Prabhupada said. He was saying, people are interested in Ras Leela of Krishna. Oh, so Prabhupada said, you want to become Gopijan Vallabh, you want to be loved by gopis, but before you become Gopijan Vallabh, first you have to become Girivardhari. Huh? So before you want to enjoy these girls, as Krishna was doing, as per your definition, you become Girivardhari. You hold the you hold the Govardhan mountain for 7 days and 7 nights. And then Radharaman Maharaj said, what to speak of holding Govardhan mountain? Just become a table-dhari. Just hold a table for 7 days. Then you become Gopijan Vallabh. Huh? So we just jump onto this Gopijan Vallabh, Gopijan Vallabh. Prabhupada said, first you become Girivardhari. And Maharaj said, what to speak of Giridhardhari? Just become a table-dhari. Just hold a table for 7 days on your finger. Huh? Then you can go to the next topic. Huh? So this is called Dvesha, Dvesh to Krishna. Or in our language, we call it Priya and Apriya. Why? Because we are all bewildered. Since when? Sarge yanti parantapa. Sarge. Since birth, since beginning, we are bewildered. Go to the next one. So what's the way out of it? This is another very famous verse. I don't know whether Rupam Prabhu will approve it in his list, but this is one of the best verses of Bhagavad Gita. We'll see why.
Oh, we are done with chapter 7. All the
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All the verses are TikTok.
This is my personal recommendation. And it's a beautiful verse. Maybe Vijay Gopi Mataji can read. Her pronunciation is very, very good.
येषां तु अन्तगतं पापं
येषां तु अन्तगतं पापं
ज्ञानानां पुण्यकर्मणां
जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां
ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता
ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता
भजन्ते मां दृढव्रतः.
भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः.
Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Hare Krishna.
So Yesham Twantagatam Papam. This is a very simple line here. Yesham, those people, Antagatam Papam. Antagatam means they do not perform any sinful activities anymore. Jananam, those Jana, Yesham, Jananam, those people. What do? Only Punya Karmanam. They only perform pious activity. We'll define this Papa and Punya in a second. They, those people, Dvanda Moha Nirmukta. If you remember the previous verse, what the Moha word was used twice. Everyone is bewildered, everyone is bewildered. So now Krishna is giving a way out. So if you want Dvanda Moha Nirmukta, so if you, I'll just put the previous verse here. It's nice to sort of compare. 727. So two words, Dvanda Mohe in Bharata, you remember Dvanda Mohe in Bharata, because of dualities, they are bewildered. So Krishna is saying, if and how many are Sarv Bhutani? So Sarv, all of the Bhutas are bewildered because of these dualities. So Krishna is saying, you want to get out? Dvanda Moha Nirmukta, you want to become liberated from them? What you have to do? Antagatam Papam, stop sinful activities. And so what do I do? Only Punya Karmanam. What will be the result of that? Bhajante Mam Dradhavrataha. They are able to do my bhajan with Dradhavrata. Now, anyone remembers this word bhajante used in this chapter earlier? Jamati Mata is speaking the verse. I can't hear it.
Oh, Nam Bhajante.
Chaturveda bhajante mam. Thank you, Mohit is fully prepared for the exam. Over prepared rather. So Chaturveda bhajante mam. So bhajan was used word there. So that bhajan was a study bhajan? No, because it was Artu Jigyasu Artharti. They came to Krishna situationally. The situation was there. The situation was unfavorable. So okay, let's go to Krishna. Okay, very nice. They went. But the bhajan was situational. Now later on, that bhajan became what? Anyone remembers? 719. Bahunam Janunamante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasteva Sarvati Samahatma Sudurva. So that later on, after many words, Bahunam Janunamante, that bhajan became what? Prapadyante. Right? You remember that series? Now, if you take the similar series, the same starting point 716, bhajante, but a bhajan is not drad. Bhajan is not stable. Now, do we like Prabhupada saying one day you chant 16 rounds, next day 4 rounds, then next day 12 rounds, then 0 round? We don't like that. Even we say you chant 4 rounds consistently. That increase, consistent manner. So, Dradhavrata, Vrata, which is done with Dradha, which determination is very important. Today, one Ekadashi, and then next Ekadashi next year. 2022 ka Ekadashi ho gaya, next Ekadashi 2023, next Ekadashi 2024. Now, that's not what we do. We follow Ekadashi every fortnight when it comes. So, that is called Dradhavrata. We follow 16 rounds every day. We do DT worship every day. We offer bhoga every day. We go to temple as much as possible, if not every day, except Mohit Prabhu, I guess, and few more lucky devotees, Madhuri Mataji and other family. But they practically live in the temple. They go to home sometime. Once in a week, they visit their home. They live in temple. So otherwise, we go to temple as, so this is called Dradhavrata. Today in ISKCON and tomorrow in Sai Baba and Parsu in Minto Temple, not like that. Yeah, we go to Minto Temple. Jamati Mataji is seen there quite a lot for book distribution. So this is called Dradhavrata. How do you do Dradhavrata? What are the sort of root of it? Antagatam Papam. So if you're performing our sinful activities, which you may have performed in the past, there's no problem. So will it impact your Dradhavrata? Yes. Yes, definitely yes. When Mrigari met with Narad Muni told Mrigari that, you leave this and you just do bhajan. And he said, but how I'm going to do bhajan? I don't know anything else. I only know one profession. What is that profession? Killing animals and eat them. Huh? But I don't know any profession. How I'll survive? He said, I'll make arrangements for you. You don't worry about it. Then he said, what I have to do? Narad Muni said, first thing you have to do, break your bow. Break your bow. What is the significance of break your bow? Stop sinful activity. Stop. Unless you stop, you cannot continue. Huh? So what did Mrigari do? Broke the bow straight away. He had faith in the words of Narad Muni. Now we are also told, stop sinful activities. We all know in our heart how much we have stopped. And because we have not stopped, we struggle in devotional life. Now, devotional life is susukham kartam. It should give you joy. That's what the definition of devotion service is. But many times when you come back home after temple or after meeting, sometimes they say you start with Ishtagosti, you end with Mushtagosti. Ishtagosti, you come and meet Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, how are you? How's things? At the end of the meeting, you see one Prabhu on top of another. How come you don't consider my opinion? Huh? That's called Mushtagosti, Musti Prahar. So I'm sure Vijay Gopi Mataji getting this word as well, Mushtagosti. That's fist gosti. So many times we experience that we start with so much, love and care and humility. At the end of the meeting, we are all disturbed. So that's not devotional service. Okay, it's not wrong, but it's not recommended. It's not recommended. Why are we doing it? Because we have contaminations. We all have contamination. Why the contamination still exists? It should have been stopped. Antagatam papam has not been done yet. We are still performing some sort of sin, knowingly or unknowingly. I'm not going to detail there, but it's continuing, and that's what is the reason for our struggle in devotion life. There's actually no such thing. There is no such thing. When Dhruv Maharaj went, when Prahlad Maharaj went, he didn't complain to Narad Muni. Narad Muni, I'm suffering a lot in this devotional life. My father is trying to kill me. Prahlad was happy. Dhruva was happy. But we are not happy. We complain. Mandir mein ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai. This devotee is like that. That devotee is like that. My Siksha Guru is like that. My Guru never responds to my emails. So many problems we have. Actually, problem is not outside. Problem is inside. Gauranga Prabhu very nicely said, when you start choosing, आज पनीर का सब्जी नहीं बनाया? नहीं आज करे. भिंडी नहीं बनाया? What about माँ की दाल? नहीं. Actually, it's not important what's in the menu. The important thing is you're not hungry. So we, as a group, generally I'm saying, we're not hungry to be a devotee. And we blame other people or other situations. Because of them, I'm not able to perform my devotional service. We blame them. We always blame them. Prahlad never blamed Hiranyakashipu. Have you ever heard in Bhagavatam one shloka? Just one. As looking at Prahlad Maharaj prayers, there's 155 shlokas which Prahlad Maharaj has spoken nearby that. That's a lot of shloka. Not even one shloka, even 1/4 line, he complained about his father. My father is a terrorist. And we call my neighbor, my this and that is a terrorist or like that. So what right do we have? What right do we have? The right is here actually. Antagatam papam, jananam punya karmanam. Then our bhajan will be dhradavrata. So very, very important verse for us. Okay, let's move forward. 29 and 30. Now Krishna is going to introduce few new terms. And don't worry about it. Krishna will explain them in the next chapter itself. So 729, who hasn't done it as yet? Sakhi Radhika Mataji, you want to do that?
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jara Marana Mokshaya.
Jara Marana Mokshaya.
Mam Ashritya Yatantiye.
Mam Ashritya Yatantiye.
Te Brahma Tat Vidhu Krishnam.
Te Brahma Tat Vidhu Krishnam.
Adhyatmam Karma Chakhilam.
Adhyatmam Karma Chakhilam.
Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Jara Maran Mokshaya. So, in this material world, if you're intelligent, if you are, you will ask this question, why I'm having Jara. Jara means Budhapa, the old age, and Maran, why I'm dying again and again? Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they asked this question to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. People call us Pandit, but we don't even know why we are suffering from three modes of material nature. That's the first question they presented in front of Mahaprabhu. So the basic question, why are we getting old? Anyone wants to become old here? Everyone wants to stay young, 20-year-old with full of energy, wants to do so many things, but it's not possible. We are getting old, and one day we'll not be able to report it, because that day in this body will be called as Maran. The Jara, Maran, Moksha. But if you want to get rid of Moksha, means get rid of that Jara and Maran. What you should do? Krishna gives a simple solution. What's the solution? Mam Ashritya. Mam Ashritya. What do you have to do? Mam Ashritya. Mera Ashray lo. You take my shelter. And how you take my shelter? Yatan tiye. Yatan karna hai. Yatan means endeavor. So ke ashray nahi lenge. You go to India, many camps are running, and you go to the camp and they will do this Maun Vrata. Everyone just stay silent, 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 silent. So you have to stay silent. All you have to do is sit there and be silent for 15 minutes. Now, another option of doing silence is you just increase your sleep by 15 minutes. That's easy, isn't it? That's easy. So whole night, what are you doing? You're doing meditation? So if they call it silence as meditation, then whole night you're doing meditation 8 hours every day. Why don't you achieve Krishna? But that's not the point in achieving Krishna. You just go and Rupam Prabhu, I'm looking at Rupam Prabhu, he was raising the question of Islam. Islam, they say, Ruh so rahi hai, or Jannat ke din uthegi. So the soul is sleeping inside a box, and the day of Jannat it will get up. So this is all moksha, isn't it? But that's not. Krishna is saying, yatanti, yatan karna hai. And that's why Prabhupada says, work now, samadhi later. When you are young, you should work very hard for Krishna. You say brahmacharis or even grihasthas should not be idle even for a second. And not wasting your time, but serving Krishna all the time as much as possible. Mam ashrit yatantiye te brahma tad vidu Krishna. Krishna word refers to Akhila. Akhila refers to everything, whole. Krishna word will be used again and again in 9th chapter also it will come. I think in 8th as well it will come. So they know everything. What do they know? Mama Ashritya. Unless I take shelter of Krishna and I endeavor for achieving Krishna, Jara Maran Mokshaya will not happen. I cannot get rid of Jara Maran Mokshaya. And Adhyatmam Karma. So what sort of karma they are doing? Karma everyone is doing. Even sleeping is a karma. Meditation is also karma. What karma they are doing? Adhyatmam karma cha akhilam. They're constantly doing, Prabhupada writes, transcendental activities. So that's very important. If you want to get rid of Jara and Maran, what you need to do? Mamashita, take my shelter, and Yatan. Yatan means endeavor. Okay, let's move to the last verse of this chapter. Who will do that? Last, Mahavasu Prabhu and Bhakti Vijaya Mataji. If they can, I'm not sure.
All right,
okay, no worries.
Sati Bhutadi Devam Mam.
Sadi Bhutadi Devam Mam.
Sadahi Janam Chaye Vidu.
Sadi Yagyam Chaye Vidu.
Prayana Kale Picha Mam.
Prayan Kale Picha
Mam. Te Vidu Yukta Chetasha.
Te Vidu Yukta Chetasaha.
Translation Machine Prabhupada teacher. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigod and of all method of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So there are three terms Krishna is introducing here: Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, and Adhiyagya. So Sa Adhibhutam. So as we know, there are three types of tapas. So we know Adhidaivik tap, Adhibhautik tap, and Adhyatmik tap. So similar words are there. So Sa Adhibhutam, Sa Adhidaivam, Sa Adhiyagyam. Chaya Vidu. So one who knows me, Ma, Vidu, no. So one who knows me as Sadhibhuta, Adhidaivam, and Adhiyagya. And Prabhupada writes the translation as Adhibhuta, as Prabhupada writes, in full consciousness of me. Adhibhuta translation, to be governing principle of the material manifestation. That is the translation of Adhibhuta. Adhidaivam is of the demigods. So I am the governing principle of demigods. Sa Adhiyagyam. I am the governing principle of all the methods of sacrifice. Bhoktaram Miktapsam Sarulok Maheshwaram. Prayad Kale chapimam. So prayanakalepin means when you are going to quit this body, when you're going to leave this body, remembering Krishna at that time is very, very difficult. But if you know me as these three principles, then they wither you, then they will be able to remember me at the time of death. So Prabhupada can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So we can say at the time of death, remembering Krishna is very, very difficult. But if we understand Krishna as the governing principle, as all in all of the material manifestation of the demigods and all the methods of sacrifice, then we can remember Krishna at the time of death. Now, Krishna will personally explain these three terms in the next chapter. So we will take it in the 8th chapter. It's 6:10 already. I'll not start the chapter, but if anyone has any quick questions, we can take. In the next week, we'll start 8th chapter. Everyone is fully exhausted. They want to go to temple. Someone is already on the way to temple, which is very nice. So, okay, let's stop here. If you have
Prabhu,
any...
I have a question. And
Hare Krishna, Charu Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I keep thinking of this all the time. You are in the, I mean, Arjun is in the middle of the battlefield with Krishna, and he doesn't want to fight. And he gives his reasons for not fighting. How is all of this related to encouragement or encouraging a person to fight? I get it till that point where Krishna says, okay, you need to fight for me. And he tells him who I am, what I should do. So he's explaining himself. But then going forward, we see Krishna will talk about the types of food, the food in mode of goodness, all of that. How and what correlation does it have in encouraging a person to just stand up and fight?
That's right. Thank you, Mataji. Very, very nice and practical question. Mataji always have practical questions. Very nice question. Very, very intelligent question. So I'll just repeat the question if I understood correctly. So Krishna is talking about the sadhyagya, sadhibhuta, different types of food, different type of people, this and that. How does it correlate to Arjuna's initial inquiry? Should I fight or not? Can I go to Chakra? That's the question. So let's represent Arjuna first, and then I'll try to represent Krishna's heart as much as I understand. So Arjun, like you and me, have problems of life every day, day-to-day life, right? Our tap is leaking, the washing machine is not working, kids are getting late to school, this and that. Now, Charu Mataji have crossed these stages now. Many of us still in that stage. Huh? So we rush for swimming class. I was rushing today for the swimming class. I was late. Anyway, all these things. So how does it relate? So it's exactly right. Sometimes we think about why Krishna is not giving a simple one-liner solution. The problem with that solution will be, there will be another problem. And there will be another problem. There will be another problem. So we always trying to, fix so many loose things in the house. This is not fixed, that is not fixed, and this is not. But we never come out of this. So the point is here is not to answer Arjuna's question so directly so that he has another question, rather than satisfy Arjun with such a intelligence that he will never have these sort of questions again at all. That's the whole idea. So basically, from a battlefield of Kurukshetra, the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, which Charu Mataji just said, she understands fight for me and all that. As soon as it relates to fight, we understand, we can relate to it because it relates to my problem. Huh? Maharaj is answering a question and saying, Mataji, are you, or Prabhuji, are you reading Bhagavatam? But Maharaj, I have this problem. Mataji, are you reading Bhagavatam? But Maharaj, you didn't hear my question. I'm having this burning problem. Mataji, are you reading Bhagavatam? Why Maharaj is emphasizing again and again and again? Because I may be able to, maybe or may not be able to solve your current problem. But if you start reading Bhagavatam, your consciousness will become so high, no other material problem will be able to bother you. Radhanath Maharaj always says, you cannot come out of the material world's problem. You have to transcend them. Transcend them is, the miseries are going to come. You're in the material world. You're in the water, you're in the ocean. You will get wet. No matter what, you will get wet. Huh? From this angle or that angle. Some people have problem A, some people have problem B. Anyone who doesn't have a problem here, I'm not sure. Huh? And if you're saying that, just wait after the class. So the point is, Krishna has taken Arjuna, a living entity like you and me, in normal words, has taken to such a realm, which you can say in a mundane example, when you're going by train, you look at the buildings are huge. When you're going by plane. You're sitting in a plane, the same building, which is same length and width, everything is same. You look at from your perspective, oh, chota machis ki dibbi hai. We call the, the car says machis ka dibbi hai. Just a matchbox, the size of the car. Like, if you go even beyond that, you can't even see the biggest building of the world. So the point is, from the material consciousness, Krishna is taking you to the transcendental consciousness. And that's why when you are absorbed in so much seva in our head, if someone sort of uses the wrong word for you, bolle do na, I have so many things to do, you don't bother. But if you have nothing to do, all the time you will think about one thing. He said me like that. I will show him what I am, what I can do. Eat ka jawab patthar se, something like that. So that's the whole idea, actually. That's the whole idea, to give so much transcendental knowledge that the problems of the material world will not bother you at all. That's in summary, I can say, if that helps, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
That helps.
So it doesn't.
Only I just thought that this was like, anyway, that does help me, that
Yes.
you just transcend from those miseries, because they'll
Exactly.
always be
So
there.
you cannot just give a solution to problem A. Okay, you apply A1 solution and problem A is solved. What about B and C? But if you're absorbed in Krishna consciousness all the time through all these topics,
yeah,
all the A, B, C, Z, everything will be solved. That's the whole principle behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice and practical question. It's 6:15 sharp. So we will stop here, and thank you all, everyone, again. So we'll see you all next week, same time, same place, online, Zoom, on 19th Feb.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Sundar Gopal Prabhuji, any major announcements for this week?
Hare Krishna. No announcement as such, Prabhu. It's just that for the devotees who did not appear for the exam that's coming up on the 25th, so we'll publish the information on the other group that is related.
So 25th exam, so it's less than 2 weeks, so get ready for it. I'm sure everyone is already ready. So we'll see you all in the temple on 25th around 4 o'clock, Prabhu. Is that right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, 4 o'clock. Okay. So we will talk about it in the separate group. Okay, Hare Krishna. Jagannath Baldev Sudhara Maharani ki Jai, Radha Gopi ki Jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.